coming to the zone here. 10 back. 5. Green, green, green.
Hello and welcome back to the Hot Lap, your home for everything INRS racing. I'm Clark Franz, driver of the number 15 Chevrolet Camaro.
I'm Vernon Brabeck, driver of the number 10 Chevrolet Camaro for Roadrunner Motorsports.
Corey Bunch, number 77 Ford Mustang, Full Throttle Motorsports.
This week Tony can't join us, so we have another special host back again, Michael Whitley, driver of the number 94 Ford Mustang. How are you, Michael?
Doing good. Super sub position.
I'm glad you can join us. And then also we have a special guest and race winner from this week, Jordan Booth, driver of the number 41 Ford Mustang as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Congrats on the race win. Before we start diving into stuff, I do want to give one quick little shout out. Tomorrow, my youngest son starts his first day of school, and if you've ever seen me on the racetrack, I have a pretty special paint scheme. It's the Autism Speaks paint scheme. I'm equally excited and terrified, but I'm going to listen to this with him on the way to school. Maybe gets to hear Dad's voice and calm down, but we love you, Brody, and I love having that race car for you. So let's dive into topic number 1. Jordan, obviously, congrats on the win, like we said. When that caution came out on lap 40, how long did it take you to pull the trigger on that strategy call?
Not long at all. It was pretty quick. Me and Brendan did the math, and it was a one stopper, and we were like, all right, we can make it from one stop here. Might as well pit. We were good enough to kind of get back up there, so it was pretty instantaneous.
With that conversation with you and Brendan, are you guys pretty much on the same page with most of your strategies?
Yeah, most of the time I'm kind of doing the fuel calculations for us, but at the same time he kind of trusts me to not overly screw us, and thankfully that one didn't. But no, it's pretty seamless with me and him.
Nice, man. Are you using Race Labs, or how are you doing your calculations?
iRacing fuel calculator.
There you go. Nice. Keeping it old school. Vernon and I jumped on the same strategy there. I wanted to make it a one stop, and I was nervous. And then we saw you guys take pit road, and Vernon jumped out and was like, "All right, let's go." And I think this kind of speaks to your level of racing. Vernon was like, "Well, if Booth is pitting here, it's probably the right strategy." So you ended up dragging us to a 3rd and a 6th place finish. So thanks as well.
You remember seeing them go down pit road? Because I don't. I know you said you wanted to make it on one stop, and I was kind of doing the math in my head. I was like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it now. And you were in front of me, so you pulled down, and then I was about ready to stay in line, and then I went down with you. But
No,
we
yeah,
got
so-
off pit road, and I saw that those two pitted, and I was like, god dang it! Now we're on the same strategy as these two.
Yeah, I was debating it, and I saw 2 people in front of me jump, and I'm like, well, it can't be too bad of a choice. And I went from there. Now, Whitley, you were a bit further back, but you were only the 2nd car a lap down. Did you also pit then? Because I know you had some damage.
No, so I'd come off. I was involved in that caution that set up that strategy there, and we were coming out of 4, and I didn't think I had sustained any damage in the caution. I'm like, well, track position means too much. I'm just gonna stay out here and keep where I'm at and try to gain on it. And then as I'm passing pit road, I keyed up on our team channel. I was like, Booth Pit, they know something we don't know. And they definitely knew something we didn't know because we screwed the pooch on that one.
It was a little nerve-wracking when we were running, 4th gear through the corners and then back up into 5th. We were only estimating, 27.5 to 28 laps for a fuel run. But we were kind of thinking if we 5th gear it, we'll be able to make it, and thankfully we made that call. Now, Jordan, what were your strategies as you were trying to fuel save there on that last long green flag run?
I think kind of the same thing as you guys were doing, just riding around in 5th gear for as long as I could. Especially just kind of not taking every run and instead lifting out of it. So where I was just 70% throttle down the straightaways was really helpful. And I noticed Vernon doing it as well, where it's just kind of stay in line, follow the guy in front of you if you have to, push him, and just big save at the beginning so you don't have to save as much the second half.
Were you having any issues with keeping up with the draft by being in 5th?
I mean, you definitely felt bogged down coming out of the corners. But other than that, it was kind of fine. You'd get up to about 7,700 RPMs, then everybody else would have to upshift, which let you kind of even out at that point, and it felt pretty seamless from there for the rest of the straightaways.
Now on the back half of that fuel run, once you came through the pits, got your fuel, you're back out. I'm guessing you were probably fifth gearing it for at least half of that run. At what point did you turn the jets back on and start downshifting again?
I did it kind of backwards that second half. And Vernon and I were able to go a lap longer than Brendan was, which helped both of us probably a ton that second half. Brendan was a second ahead of me, and I was like, I got to go catch him now, or else I'll never catch him if I'm just matching lap times here. So I kind of pushed hard that first, I don't know, 5 to 7 laps and got ahead of him. And then it was back to that same kind of right around in fifth gear deal. I knew everybody like Corey, who stayed out, wouldn't make it. So it was just managing the tires at that point, managing the fuel, and then getting to the point where last 4 or 5 laps we had enough to where both Brendan and I could just go hard from there.
Yeah, and then committing attempted murder as you're coming towards the checkered flag there. It seemed like quite a bit of beating and banging. That was a nice finish, though, for that end of that race. Now, Corey, on the opposite strategy, I heard somebody in the lobby after the race talk about it as how much it's got to stink knowing you were the first car on your strategy. Yeah, kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of, the bed was kind of made then. So the only thing I could really probably save me was just having that caution. But once I kind of figured that wasn't going to happen, I just had the plan of just pitting, I think within 20 to go or something like that. Just enough fuel that we had for a green, white, checkered, right side tires, and then just go hard all out. That's kind of what I only had to do. The only thing I would probably take back was probably I should just pit earlier. Instead of 20 to go, probably should just pit around 25 and just ran it from there, because I probably could have got more spots from all that. But there was going to be no way for me, because I think my crew chief said that we was probably like 3 gallons short, and I'm like, there ain't no way I can save that. So the bed was already made, and I just made the call just to pit and then get back out there and just run the best I could. And luckily enough, still got back in the top 10, so it kind of worked out for the most part. But still kind of hate that it took me out of the top 5. But hey, it's one of those things where they you take what's been given to you.
Yeah, it's still a solid finish for you. Keep adding on to that good season you've had. Now, how hard did it feel for you to pass throughout the race?
Well, when I had 2 new right side tires, it wasn't bad at all. I just blew everybody's doors off. But when you're in the draft, like early on, I wouldn't say it was difficult, but you had to be precise on what you did, because I know some guys up front, they would just wear their stuff out when they're running that middle lane. And I've come to find out, like, when you could just go to the bottom off of 2, or going to the bottom lane, go turns 1 and 2, you could just hit that bump or whatever it was and makes your car cut better. You get a straighter line off and be side by side with the person. Then you can go into turn 3 on the bottom. And I hugged it on that yellow line just enough to where it rotated a little bit better, to where I could just get that run off and make the pass that way. But it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the greatest either. Like I said, you had to be precise on when you could make your moves and your slide jobs and all that stuff.
I felt like I could make better passes or better pass attempts through 3 and 4 than 1 and 2. I felt like I was kind of plowing through the corner. I was probably just carrying too much speed through. Prior to your damage, Whitley, were you having a side of the track your preference in?
Oh, I was kind of searching. I qualified on pole. I didn't get much time, I guess, to really search, kind of by myself. When Booth and I were racing with each other, he was running a lot of the bottom. I was running kind of that mid-ish groove, kind of lower mid groove. When I was coming back through the field after the first wreck, I kind of liked running a little bit higher up. I seemed to get a little bit better runoff and could kind of stick my nose in. but then as the tires wore down, I kind of started almost diamonding it off, kind of running in a little high, mid high, and running it off the bottom a little bit, and kind of getting runs that way. And then I got damaged, and then it didn't matter what I did because it just sucked.
And Booth, was tire wear an issue for you at all up front?
Right after the pit stop that we all made to make it on fuel, that run I destroyed the right front fuel saving because I wasn't using as much brake. I was kind of lifting out earlier. But that first stage, it felt really, really good. Corey and I were really, really even as well too on tire wear. It felt like we were just matching lap time for lap time there coming to the stage. So, I mean, running that bottom really, really helped keep that right front alive. But throughout the race, kind of never felt too absurd. I think we fell off maybe 4 or 5 tenths, which I mean isn't a ton of fall off. It was noticeable, but it never felt like I was lacking grip, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know about you, Vernon, but I felt like I was plowing tight the first half of that fuel run, and then the second half, I think I finally started to click what I needed to do to keep my tires more underneath me.
Yeah, the end of the race, I made the mistake of not doing what Jordan did and going all out at the beginning of the run. So when I went to try to make up ground at the end, the tires weren't happy with me. So I kind of wish I would have been dropping it down into fourth and really going after it right after we got off pit road. I made the mistake of trying to keep it in fifth to make sure I had enough fuel to get to the end. So yeah, the tires weren't really happy. I had grip. I never really felt loose off corner, but there was a lot of times where I felt like I was pushing out of the corner.
Well, I think it was one heck of a race, and my parents watch the race every week, and they said that it was a good one to watch on YouTube, as well as one of my buddies at work was tuning in. And Booth, you were the master class of the field there. That was a hell of a strategy call, and it just goes to add on to your awesome season you put on so far. So congrats, man. I believe you're locked into the regular season championship, so congrats to you on that as well.
Yeah, thank you. It was a tight battle between Corey and I there for a second, and then just kind of slowly stretched it out to get here now. So it's gonna be nice to have those 15 playoff points to carry into the playoffs.
So I've asked this question a few times on the podcast. I like to ask this to people that I think are going to be fighting for the win at Phoenix for the championship, and it's whether or not you're already starting to prepare for those final races, because you gotta think, barring any crazy outcome, you're going to be there in the final four. Have you started trying to practice?
I have not. Brendan and I are actually still eligible for the whole crown jewel thing, so I think most of our preparation so far has been Darlington. Because if one of us wins that, it makes our goal at Talladega a lot simpler as to what we need to get done.
Well, good luck with that, man. And had a bit of a shakeup with the playoff bubble this week. We have Vince really struggled with. He was involved in that lap 40 shakeup, and then he ended up finishing. It looks like I lost my fucking place. He ended up finishing 24th. Brought him down to 16 behind Matt Robinson, who's now plus 16. Ty Bostic plus 21, and then Tony Japs jumped all the way to 14th with plus 28. So pretty big shakeup there. So if you're looking below the cut line with Vince at that 16 under and then Mossau 27 under, I think both of them, at least for sure, Mossau's probably going to have to win to be in. Vince could point his way in, but he's going to need either Matt or Ty to probably have two disastrous races. So we'll see how that plays out here, but coming into Daytona, anybody can be a winner here. Before we jump into Daytona, though, we're going to go ahead and jump over to Fast Facts. And Booth, you're the star of the show this week, so I'm going to ask you a series of questions just about you and your life, and have you go ahead and answer them.
Sounds good.
Pressure.
Pressure. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19 years old. You still in school?
Yep, in college, starting my sophomore year.
Have you declared a major?
Business administration.
Cool, man. What are you wanting to do with it?
Either go into the niche kind of finance side of it and use kind of the basis of finance in that degree to either go be a financial advisor or something along that lines, or kind of just get into management.
Nice. Now, are you born and raised in Indiana, or did you move out there?
I was born in Texas, lived there for my first 7-ish years, and then moved to Indiana.
Now, I hear you do root for the best football team in the land. Is that true?
It very much is.
OH.
IO.
That's what I'm talking about. All you Georgia, Alabama fans, especially if there's any Michigan fans in here. I hope you guys all suck this year. Who do you root for, Corey? I hear that sound of disgust.
No, you just said Alabama, and oh god, I despise Alabama with the passion. Todd Smith will, but me and Todd Smith will talk about that. So no, I have to go with the home team. Go Big Orange, Volunteers.
As long as it's not Michigan, I'm not going to turn my cheek too much. So
No,
I
we
can
don't
respect
cheat.
that. Now, I was going to ask you about hobbies, but we talked about it the other day. Golf is one for you, right?
Yep. Yep, it
So
is.
that's kind of been the common theme here on the podcast so far. What's your handicap, man?
Ooh, I don't keep a handicap. I don't play good enough to keep one. But if I had to guess what I shoot on a given basis, probably in the mid 80s is my like average round.
You run about a 10 to 13 handicap.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Burning the golf professional.
I just break 90 and I'm just average. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so not a 90 would be an 18 handicap because you're shooting.
I know. I'm like a 40 handicap.
So anything under that, if you shoot 85, you're shooting a 13 handicap.
I get excited when I shoot below a 95. I'm like Tiger fist pumping on the 18th green.
Yes.
Now, how'd you get into iRacing, Jordan?
Been a NASCAR fan for a while and, always liked racing. And then, COVID hit and of course you see it on TV everywhere and you're like, I want to do that. So bought a wheel and pedal set that was grossly overpriced at the time and kind of went from there.
Seems to be a theme in this podcast.
Now, right off the bat, were you pretty talented at iRacing, or did it take some time to get to where you are now?
No, I was not very good at all whenever I started. I think I went instantly down to about 800 I rating and just wasn't having fun. So I quit for about 2 years ish and just picked it up in March of 2023 again.
Well, that's a heck of a turnaround if you just picked it back up in March 2023. You got some serious talent there, man. What kind of setup are you rocking?
So I have a Moza R9 with the CS wheel. I have the Fanatec CSLs with a load cell, and all this is on one of those Fanatec metal stands, one monitor, and a rolly chair.
Rolly chair with the wheels still on.
Oh yeah, we're moving around if we're hitting the brake pedal too hard.
How do you manage like a Martinsville or a, I don't know, even like a Richmond?
It's hard. My pedals also kind of shift around on me sometimes too, so it's a lot of dragging it back with my feet and kind of using my arms and scooting around to reposition myself on the straightaways. It's a lot more of a workout than most people have.
I couldn't imagine doing that on a road course.
Not fun.
So, my game room is also our workout room, and I take two 50-pound dumbbells and I put them behind my wheels on my rolly chair. That way I don't slide backwards. I still get a little side-to-side movement every now and then, but at least it keeps me from falling back. So, if you have any dumbbells, go grab them. It works.
Noted. I kind of have it wedged up against a rug in my room, so it keeps me from going left at least. So we just got to worry about going right and backwards.
I bought me a brake pedal stand. You mount your brake pedals to it, and then it's got a piece that pulls out that you put the front of your wheels on your chair on them, and your brakes and your chair don't move.
If I did that, I'd win too much, and we don't want that.
More
But you're
booing.
so modest. Now, if you're not in the sim rig or you're not golfing, do you have any other hobbies?
Like to hang out with friends, obviously, that's a big one. Now with all of them kind of moving out for college and then obviously college starting, it's a lot less free time. Taking 24 credit hours this semester, so it's just going to be a lot of homework and the occasional iRacing for now.
24 credit hours sounds like a terrible nightmare. I tried to shoot for around 16. I did 21 time, and I felt like that was too much. So more power to you. I'm gonna tell you, I've been out of college for 8 years now, and I still have nightmares. I shouldn't say nightmares, but I'll have dreams where I'm like forgot to turn in a paper.
That's when I was your boss.
Yep, good times. What a shitty boss. Just kidding.
Terrible boss. I don't even know how the hell I was a boss.
Oh shoot. Oh, Jordan, I'm glad we get to know more about you. Now we're gonna head on into talking about Daytona. I'm gonna ask keys to the race. I think it's pretty simple. Keep your foot in the gas and don't get involved in a wreck. But Whitley, what are you looking to do to try to put yourself in the winner's circle?
I mean, we always talk about it. Survive is a big thing. The Cup car, it's a lot of not losing the draft. I got in a situation at Daytona this year, along with Garrett, one of our other league members, where we got checked up at the start and we lost the draft immediately, and we spent the rest of the race trying to catch back up. So the Gen 6, you used to be able to kind of let off. You could get more than half a second behind the pack in front of you and could hammer back into it, catch right back up. This next gen, you can't do that. You've got to stay in it. And if you lift at all, if you have to have a checkup at all, that's it. You're losing the draft. It's gone. And then staying organized. Who you're around plays a big role in how fast you're going to go and how quick you can get somewhere. If you're with a group that can't stay in line, you're with a group that the leader doesn't know how to drag the brake a little bit to allow you to suck up to push. It's kind of counterproductive. You kind of, I was in a pack at Daytona where it was, 7, 8 of us, and we couldn't catch a pack of 15, 16 because we just couldn't stay organized, and it sucks. So organization, staying out of trouble, staying with your teammates, all that's going to be crucial.
Your point about keeping your foot in it reminds me of a topic I wanted to bring up for Michigan. I'm going to jump back to it real quick. There was a event that happened on the backstretch. It was early on in the race that did not bring out a caution. There's quite a few of us that did not keep our foot in it. Thankfully, a later caution brought us back together. But I wanted to ask, do you know an opinion, do you know what portion of the race I'm talking about, Michael?
Yeah, that was lap 1 off the backstretch, I believe, or off turn 2.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted people's opinions here. I think Josh knows me. He's known me long enough to know that, I'm just airing my opinions. Obviously, it's a tough decision being race control, but I am of the opinion that it's not always the wreck that brings out the caution. Sometimes it's the imminent danger that causes people to check up and therefore causes the caution. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, especially the track. I mean, and like we always talk about, and like you hear it in real life NASCAR. It's the nature of the car to be pack racing because it creates excitement. And you get cars, especially on a restart at a 2-mile track where you're flat out through the first corner almost. You check up and it tends to lead to a lot of people just running you over. And I mean, that's what happened. There was, I think, a couple cars might have got run over. Actually, Jordan, I think Brendan might have been involved in that one.
Yeah, he slid up into Matt, and he was the guy who went way down to the apron.
Yeah, and I mean, you had cars checking behind, cars, kind of bumping in, and with no fast repairs, it's you run in the back of somebody now, and your day could be done if there's no caution.
I was somewhere between 15th and 20th, I want to say, at the time, and just about everybody around me and behind me put out the parachute thinking a caution was going to come, and when it didn't, I mean, all of us were scrambling to try to get back up to speed. And I know that there's your kind of towing a delicate line as the race control of trying to not throw a million cautions, but also still throw them when they're necessary. So it all worked out because there was later cautions that brought us back together. But that is going to get tricky, especially at a track like Daytona, where if something like that happens and there's a big checkup, you might split your pack into 2 to 3 groups. So
Yeah.
something
You know
to
who
mind.
did? You know who didn't check up, and he's not here tonight. Tony Japs went full. Just he didn't even think about touching the brakes. That man gained probably 15 spots. Just hammered down.
Heck, had a P4 finish. Must have worked out for him. So now, Booth, you won one of the duels, but you didn't win the actual race at Daytona. But you've got speed on plate race tracks. What's your keys going into the race?
Well, first off, thank you for bringing up Daytona. That is still a sore subject in the 40XLI camp. But I think it's kind of who you position yourself around. If you're around the dudes on the track, Corey, Michael are great examples. If you're around those guys who know what they're doing, you're going to be just fine. It's kind of whenever you get in those situations where you're around a dude who, like Michael was saying, isn't great at holding their line or is snaking all over the place, is whenever you get yourself in trouble. And especially with no fast repair, it's going to be kind of, vital to not get caught up in somebody else's mess. So I think it's going to be either sticking to the front the whole race or sitting in last for the first 85% of the race. I feel like that kind of 10th to 20th range is the no-go zone.
Well, I'm glad you brought me up, and I appreciate that. But the only problem is that I may know what I'm doing, but I still get caught up in everybody else's shit, especially this year. So I'd probably avoid me this time.
You gonna take any extra precautions to avoid that you're talking about?
Oh no, I'm gonna still go to the front. That's just that's just the nature of it. But that way, maybe if I'm closer to the front, I won't get caught up in the back. But we'll see. So.
I just need Kai to come back for a race.
Oh come on.
So a couple of us are coming off of a practice race here. Vernon, if you had to describe Jordan Booth's blocks, if you had to correlate him to a NASCAR driver, where would you put him?
God.
Worse than Brad Keselowski.
I was gonna say Brad. I was gonna say Brad K. So
no, I mean.
Well, Booth, you're gonna win a race.
yeah, we were messing around.
Dude, I know it was a practice race, so it wasn't like we weren't really taking it all that serious. We were having fun, taking runs when we got them. Jordan was throwing haymaker blocks. Put me full into the brakes at one point because of the block he threw, and I didn't feel like wrecking him. He put Eric into the wall along with himself with a super late block. So he ain't gonna do that on Thursday, and if he does, he's gonna get himself wrecked.
So that was worse
but-
than what Michael McDowell did at Dega earlier this year.
Oh, the whole race, the whole practice race we had was worse than Michael McDowell for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So as I was passing Jordan Booth for my what should have
He
been
also
my
killed
win,
him.
I looked to my left and I watched his car morph from the 41 car to the number 3 car, and then that Bass Pro Shops Austin Dillon machine just absolutely destroyed me into the wall. And then
It
he
was a
went
lot
to the
of fun.
start finish line, praised Jesus, and kissed his kids. And that's how it ended.
Kisses golf clubs.
I was really more going for, Brad Keselowski versus, Carl Edwards thing. I was trying to get you up in the catch fence, but we didn't quite get you high. We just
You trying
we
to
just
kill a
turned you.
man?
I mean, Carl Edwards got out. He lived. He ran to the finish line.
It was a lot of fun in the practice race.
Man, we only had 6 people, but we were getting some killer runs. So if that's going to translate into
and some killer side drafting.
yeah,
I don't think Jordan's gonna throw any of those blocks come race time, and if he does, it'll be on the last lap.
No, I don't think so at all either. I just was being sarcastic about that. I think the side drafting is a good point though, because you can really kill some runs. I think it's a little bit trickier to get the lead car in the run, but if you start dragging down that second or third place car that's pushing in a line, I mean, you just bog down the entire line. But I'm kind of predicting a green flag stop here at Daytona, and I think I think really nailing your pit box and getting out with your team is going to be key here.
So practice, Eric, if you're listening. Eric, practice your pit stalls. Don't overshoot it, please, for the love of God.
Is that a common thing with common theme with Eric?
Oh yeah, he did it like Michigan. So I'm trying to give him like some.
He'll do it once a race at
Yeah.
minimal.
Yeah.
Shoot. Now, Vernon, if you had to pick a winner for this week, who are you going to go with? Now, before you give it to me, since Daytona's as unpredictable as can be, I want you to give me your top 3 you think that have a chance of winning this week.
All right. Well, Clark Franz, Vince Burns, and Garrett Walden.
I like those 3. Mostly just because I'm in it, but yeah, I like that. Jordan, who are you taking?
I'll say Garrett Walden. I'll throw Mike Wheel in there. He's a priority. And then if neither of those can, I'll say Brendan.
Corey.
So Garrett Walden, that's gonna be my number 1 pick there. Can I pick the same driver 3 times? Because I'm convinced that Garrett Walden is going to win this race. But no, seriously. So if I had to pick to a second or third, I'll throw Tyler Lim in there. I think he could be up there as well if it'll get caught up in anyone's mess. And let's see. The third one would be kind of a toss-up, really. Because, oh man, I want to pick him, but I know he's going to get in a wreck as soon as I do. So I won't say his name. Give me Murphy. Alex Murphy.
What about you, Michael?
I'm gonna go. If we're going off who I'm gonna push to the win, I'm pushing Ron Fitton to the win. Telling you that right now. But if we're going off who I think's gonna be up there, who's gonna finish, I mean, I got to go with 40XLI, both of them, and Jordan Wenzel. Those are the guys that are up front. Those are the guys that have been up front. A contender there would also be Eric. They seem to always be there and be present for a shot at it.
I forgot about Wenzel. He's been on a slump lately.
Major.
I keep forgetting. Well, yeah, because he blew a whatever something point lead over me, and now we're going to Daytona tied for second. So that's going to be interesting for the second place in the regular season points.
I want to say last week was his best finish he's had recently. Well, yeah, he was a third at Pocono. Then he's had 25th and 15th.
Yeah.
Well, you won't forget about him in 4 races when we go to Watkins Glen, because I can almost guarantee you he'll be out front there. For my 3 that I think have a chance of winning it this week, I think because the amount of people that say they're pushing Garrett Walden and just the way that this track is, I'm going to have to pick Garrett Walden. I think I'm also going to try to call my own shot and pick myself. I feel like it's probably my best type of track is the restrictor plate races, even though we don't have restrictor plates anymore. I just enjoy the trying to judge which lanes get in the run, what have it, and it seems to suit me well. And then my third would probably be Brendan Hayes. So we'll see how it goes. Last week we did the report cards after Richmond. This week we're going to do a dynasty build. So essentially what it is you are going to start a dynasty for this league with 3 other drivers. So you plus 3. You get to pick one top tier driver who's currently within 1st through 10th in the standings, a mid tier driver who's 11th through 20th, and then an up and coming driver who's 21st and past. And I want to ask the statistician, Michael Whitley, first, because I feel like you're going to have some good reasons why. So, Michael, I'll pass it to you.
Top 10, that's a hard one. A lot of good drivers, a lot of good talent, a lot of good specialties. But I think the guy leading the points, the guy currently 157 points above second place, would definitely be the easy go-to number 1 pick there. Jordan Booth. 11th through, you said what? 11th through 21st?
Through 20th.
Through 20th. man, that's another good area, another good stack. It's easy to go, okay, pick Brendan. Yeah, but the reality is if Brendan doesn't miss races, Brendan's not in the 11th position there. I gotta go. I gotta go with Joseph Musso. He's not flashy. He's not crazy speed. He doesn't have a top 5 this year, but he's always kind of there. He's always kind of around you. He's always there. He's going to put himself in a position where he can succeed, and that's across all 3 series. Trucks, Xfinity, Cup. He's just always kind of there. I don't want to say similar to a Ryan Newman because I think he's better than Ryan Newman, but he's just kind of there and is going to make his presence known. And then looking at the back half of the field, there's a lot of guys that are good that miss races that you could easily pick from that are back there because of that. But I'm gonna go with a guy who's had a struggle year this year and not sure why. Maybe it's the fact that we're not running on dirt this year with Bristol. But I'm gonna give the real life dirt racer Richard Mills my third selection there.
And he's been a staple of this league too. He's always performed pretty well. This year's a little bit of an off year, but I'm sure next year he'll be able to pick it right back up. So I think that'd be a pretty strong team. Yourself, Booth, Musau, and then and then Mills there. That'd be a pretty good team there. Booth, who are you taking?
Well, it'd be easy to take, Corey, Wenzel, or Whitley. They've all shown their kind of skill and expertise. But if we take road courses out of the equation, Wenzel only has 1 win on the season. So, and then you look at a guy like Corey, Iowa, New Hampshire, Richmond twice, kind of that short track grind. It's hard to go with anybody besides Corey. I know it's kind of, wow, look at this guy picking 1 and 2 in the standings with himself and Corey, but it's kind of hard to not pick Corey out of that top 10 list. He's always up at the front. I feel like it's always like, stop trying to pass me, Corey. Just leave me alone. So it's kind of hard to not go with him. And then it'd be easy to go with my teammate, but I'm not going to do that. And then Michael stole my pick with Joseph. So I think I'm going to pick Matthew Robinson out of that next group. I think to start the year, he had 8 top 10s in the first almost 10 races. He was on a tear at the start. He's definitely cooled off since then, but he was always up at the front at the beginning. So I think kind of if you just extend that over a season, he could be really, really, really solid. And then from 21st on back, I gotta go with Mike Wheel. I've been putting a lot of time with him in the 40XLI Driving Academy, and he's definitely gotten a lot better than where he started the year at. He started the year sub 25th pretty commonly, and now he's consistently inside top 20, challenging for top 15s, challenging for even stage points in some select races. So the growth that I've seen there is a positive sign for the future for sure.
I think it'd be a pretty solid team too. Corey, who would you be taking to start a dynasty with you?
All right, I got it right here. All right, so I could say the same thing with Booth. It could be easy to pick the top 3, but I'm gonna go to a different direction. And this may be a little biased for the fact that since I've been in this league for what's it been, almost 2 years now. If I was a race fan, I would be definitely rooting for this guy. I picked my top tier. I'd pick Alex Murphy. I think that if he doesn't get in all the hoopla and stuff in the back that he had been getting into, he'd be running up front. He's just been one of the more consistent guys, but it's been a little bit of a slump. But I'd still take Murphy. Now from 11th on back, I can't believe you left this guy out. Ty Bostic. That was the obvious choice for me right there because dude's shown a lot of speed lately, and I'm surprised he's not had a win yet because he's been up there running. And then going from 20th. Was it 21st on back? Let's see.
Yep.
This one's a little tough right here because I would want to pick Garrett, but I'm afraid he'll get caught up with somebody else's. So we're not holding the brakes or anything like that. So, oh man, and this guy keeps me on my mind because of how good he did at Richmond. I'd go with the other Corey Ennis. That'd be my third pick.
Corey Squared Racing Team.
Yes.
Vernon, who are you taking for that dynasty?
Oh, for the dynasty, my first pick. I mean, obviously you can pick one of the guys that have a win. I'm gonna pick someone who has a win, and it'd be Alex Forget. 3 wins, and they've all come at what feels like different style tracks. 10 top 10s, 7 top 5s, plenty of stage points, 2 stage wins. So yeah, I'm gonna take him. For 11th through 20th. He hasn't really started as many races as everybody else, but Simon Magin has 8 top 10s and 4 top 5s. He's a great driver. Like he's 5 starts, 6 starts below what would be making all the races. So, being 17th in points isn't terrible. He also has a win on the year. And then for the 21st on down, such a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Corey took mine. I was gonna take Corey Ennis, but man, I don't know. It's so difficult. I'm gonna stick with Corey Ennis. He's turned it on a little better than what he had throughout the beginning of the year. So seeing the improvement, hopefully he can carry that into next year.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say this real quick. Before anybody gets offended, Garrett, I'm sorry, I didn't pick you, but it's okay because I'm gonna push you to a win at Daytona. Let's go ahead and make that clear right now.
No, push me. I was gonna pick Corey Bunch. I was gonna pick Simon as well, and then I was gonna pick Corey Ennis. All 3 of those have been picked, so I'm gonna make my choices as if say this dynasty was a draft and they've already been picked. If we're having to pick outside that window, I think I'd have to go. Man, in terms of just who's there consistently, I think Vernon and Whitley. Whitley, you're always there consistently, and then Vernon, sometimes I think you push it a little too hard in points where it doesn't need to be pushed. If you just take what's given to you, I don't think you'd be the flashiest win every week driver, but I think you'd consistently be in the top 3 spots. I think you've shown that the last couple weeks. And then if I'm taking someone other than Simon 11th through 20th, consistency-wise, once again, if he doesn't get caught up in stuff, I think Vince is a good choice, but it's going to sound like I'm picking all my teammates, so I'll pick somebody else. I might go Ty Bostic, and then I would probably take Garrett Walden in that lower half of the field there. If I'm not taking Corey Ennis, I'd probably be going with Garrett, and that'd be my pick. So I think at the end of the day, though, I think all 5 of those dynasty teams would be pretty stout there, if I had to say. So
Well, I mean, considering Vernon's lowest finish in the last 9 races is 7th twice. He's got 3 straight top 5s and 7 of 9 top 5s.
Well, and then I was, before I switched it, since Corey and Jordan had already been picked, picking between Corey and you, Booth, is kind of tough because honestly, you got 2 more wins, but you guys are tied for top 5s. Corey's only down 1 for top 10s, but he's also got 2 less starts than you. I think both you guys are definitely the class of the field here this year. But I appreciate you guys all being on here to share your opinions today. Before we jump off, Booth, I'd like to let you give a shameless plug to your racing academy if you'd like.
Yeah, so at at 40XLI, Drivers Academy or whatever the name is now. I can't even remember. It's our goal to get you better. And sad to say, time is slowly running out to where I'm available all the time. Next year we will be only part-time in INRS. Going to be kind of hard to fit a sim rig inside of a dorm, and I don't think that my dorm mate would necessarily love it if he heard me screaming at Corey for trying to pass me at 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, trying to get everybody better. Had a session with Corey Ennis, who seems like you guys are thinking is on the up and up. So if that's a sign of things to come, we like to see that. So yeah, if you want to get better, just shoot me a DM and we'll get you there.
A little bit of breaking news to end the podcast with you only being part-time next year. We'll hate to only see you part-time. I might kind of love it because maybe gives me a little bit more of a chance to win, but I'm sure that just means Corey and Wenzel will steal more wins. But yeah, hate to see you go part-time, but best of luck as you transition into living in the dorms and heading to college, man.
Appreciate
Now,
it.
for those that are trying to reach you for that Racing Academy, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you are already part of the iNASCAR racing series, you can just find my Discord and DM it. If you do have Discord, it is just Jobo04. Add me as a friend. I'll add you back. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you want to kind of get in and get better at, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Awesome, man. Once again, thank you for joining as the guest this week. I loved the strategy win at Michigan, and best of luck as we head into these playoffs here. I expect to see quite of a run from you, so good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
Hey,
Whitley.
I got something else there too. I think I think the rumor is that Eric has fired his crew chief after Michigan, and Eric is wanting to vote for next year to have 100% fuel for next year.
That is shot down.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes me bring up something else over here too. Real quick, how do y'all feel about like the fuel, like how or where it's at? Like I think we do 60 now.
Well, I'll go ahead as admin of the league. I'll go ahead and just say one change that is coming to next year does revolve around the fuel. We are going. Hopefully, Josh Scott, don't kill me if I'm not supposed to say this yet. We're going 75% fuel. Next year, try to bring some tire strategy into it, and that'll be across all three series.
So, what's your first thoughts, guys, on that? I think it'd be kind of interesting just to see how it would be. What do you think?
I think it'll change things up. It does. I think that'll eliminate a lot of pitting strategies when it comes to the first stage.
Man, I'm half in, half out on that because if we can get the green flag runs, I think everybody would agree that it's a great call. But if are we going to get those green flag runs? I guess is my what if. I guess only time will tell. Hopefully we can. Hopefully these new rules, which it seem, Richmond and then Michigan have seemed to help tame the field and make us drive with some actual integrity, if you will. So hopefully that'll play into next year and get some nice green flag runs.
I no longer like that I'm going part-time next year because that sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, I could tell you this now, and for the 2 years I've been in here, I know usually at the beginning of the year, and I expect it to be no different whatsoever. It's going to be just like a caution fest. So we may not really get to see the full effects of that when you get like to the midway point of the season or regular seasons. But that's kind of interesting how that'll be 75% fuel because, like I said, it'll make the tires matter because with this tire model, it's just you're not wearing them and maybe the drop off at a particular track is probably maybe a second within the course of a fuel run. It's just not really a lot of fall off. I want 2-3 second fall offs, and I think this might help a little bit. I hope. Fingers crossed.
I was to say, Booth, I feel bad. I know this was one of the things you wanted. For the longest time was more fuel to create more strategy and more decision making and more tire saving. I hate that you're leaving and now we're going to it.
I'll be able to enjoy it over the summer, so we won't miss all of it. Just a lot of it.
I've been on the fence about whether I want to race or spot, and I can't tire save. So my breaking news here might be that I'm going to be spotting for the number 10 car, Vernon Broadbeck. So I don't know yet. We might though. I enjoy spotting, honestly. I think it's kind of fun. We'll see. Vernon wants me to race, but I feel like I suck this year.
Vernon, give him a contract that he deserves.
Hell, he provides me paint schemes and offers me free pedals.
He's a dang co-owner of this team. I don't have to offer him a dang contract.
Yeah.
And he sits here and acts like I'm the owner of this team.
I do want to, guys. Want a couple upcoming things in the league that we got going on. We got a lot of special paint scheme races coming up. Throwback weekend is next week. Cannot wait for that. Can't wait to see everybody's schemes.
Ready for that one.
If anybody in the league listens to this outside of the guys who record this, get me your throwback car. That way I can get that to our wonderful broadcasters, and then they can be able to call out during the race, just like NASCAR does. What the cars are sponsored after. After that, we go cartoon racing at Bristol. And then we're going to raise a little breast cancer awareness at the Roval, and then finish up Halloween in Martinsville. And then once the season ends, we take a week off and we go straight into late model stocks for a little winter series, fun series. So a lot of fun things coming up in the league.
I've been thinking about trying to interrupt the late model series with a race of our own here. I'd be interested in maybe doing a money race sponsored by the Hot Lap. If you guys think you'd be interested in that, shoot me a message and maybe we'll get the ball rolling on that. I think it'd be a good time.
Yeah.
Now, Corey, I do have one other question for you. Breaking news from Booth, breaking news from Whitley about stuff in the league. Are you going to let them upstage you on breaking news on your own podcast?
Yeah, for right now. We'll save the best for last too, but that's later on. Nothing's really truly finalized just yet, but I'll let them have their thunder. The only ones I really had was Eric Finder's crew chief, D1 Bennett. No relation to he should not be named. So maybe he'll get another crew chief for that way that he won't screw him over on pit strategy. So we'll see.
Corey Bunch, the Apex. Is that what I'm hearing?
I heard it was Roadrunner Motorsports.
He who shall not be named won at Daytona last, so we are not going to have a repeat winner. So we'll see.
To be fair, he won because the 40 LXI purple dinosaurs wrecked each other.
Stop telling me about that.
Because I caught one of them with my car on the back straightaway. I think it was Booth, and I caught him midair with my car.
It still hurts.
Whitley, I'd like to thank you as well for joining as one of the co-hosts here. You do an awesome job. I still want to get you on as a special guest and get to know you a bit more. We're going to have to arrange that soon. The first time we had you on, everybody gave us positive reviews about how great you are, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said before, I love coming on here. I like talking, and maybe I'll just have to go out there and sweep Daytona and the Xfinity and the Cup car and get brought on.
Hey, Whitley, real quick, as I'm looking at my email, the Apex contract offer is still in the spam folder. I've not touched it.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that. That's definitely a phishing. That's a phishing scam.
Best of luck, everybody, at Daytona. We'll see you all on Thursday. It's going to be a crazy one. I can't wait to talk about it next week. See if we can get a new winner in here. Take care, everybody.
See you.